When global news lacks major highlights, the Bharat Empire provides me with a steady stream of creative material. Today, we continue the retrospective journey of prediction master Mr. Hunzi. With this episode's theme, India's continuously fabricated aerospace achievements. When the Bharat Empire boasted about its satellite docking program, I made several videos accurately predicting its outcome. I believe the program would not succeed. Although China, the US, and Russia have mastered this technology for decades, it remains extremely difficult for India. Moreover, I predicted that ISRO would ultimately resort to its tradition of fabrication, boldly claiming docking success without any video or even photographic evidence. No matter how much Indian netizens begged for a live stream or video proof on ISRO's X account, ISRO would ignore them because they simply could not achieve successful docking of two satellites. I also mocked the Bharat Empire, stating this endeavor was meaningless since docking two small satellites is fundamentally different from docking a cargo spacecraft with a space station. Even if India completed this trivial space experiment, it would merely announce joining another new club, with little significance for aerospace technology. Furthermore, I predicted that due to ISRO's persistent fabrications, such as claiming non-existent achievements like Mars exploration and soft landing on the Moon's south pole, Indian aerospace would become a global laughingstock. In the future, any information released by ISRO would be treated as garbage by other countries. I also predicted that India's so-called 202 five-man space mission was mere boasting and utterly impossible to achieve. If India dared to launch a rocket, the astronauts would be buying a one-way ticket, and the world would witness a live space funeral. Additionally, I predicted that in easily verifiable space missions like near-Earth orbit tasks, ISRO would repeatedly fail because Russia, Europe, and the US are no longer willing to support India's boastful plans. As expected, we see that India's 2025 independent manned space program has been delayed to 2027. And this year, India's satellite launches have already failed twice, making it a global laughingstock. Below, we review my accurate predictions from a few months ago, hoping that Bharat Empire's fans will quickly rally to provide more video material for me. An Indian netizen asked me, "How do you evaluate ISRO's docking in space when you look down on Indian technology?" I really don't know how to respond to the strange questions of Indians. I originally thought that such arrogant and ignorant people were not worth responding to, until I saw the news of Paki Sharma boasting that India would become a member of the Space Elite Club by relying on this space docking mission. To be honest, every time I hear the word club, I will think of India. What kind of economic power club, nuclear weapon country club, independent research and development fighter club, etc., are all the glory that Indians are proud of. Indians have a surprising obsession with the word club. There must be some small-scale organizations in this world, called clubs. Members who join it are plotting plans to dominate the world in some mysterious corner, while members outside the club are the objects of domination. India is an important country that dominates the future of mankind. It is the king of the club. In fact, among all G20 countries, India's per capita GDP is the lowest, and India's industrial level is even far lower than Vietnam, let alone being compared with China, the United States, Europe, and Japan. As a member of the G20, Indonesia's GDP per capita is twice that of India. Its high-speed rail is already in operation, while Indians are still bragging about the Bharat Express, which has a speed of less than half that of Indonesia's high-speed rail. I don't know what strange devices are in their heads. Few of the world's major powers regard India as an economic power, except for the Western media praising India's huge potential when they need to belittle China. India has no sense of existence in the world economy. The United States has the most Fortune 500 companies, followed by China, with 130 to 140 companies each, with a slight fluctuation every year, while India has less than 10 companies. India has no software or hardware products that can be shown off in the world so far, not even a world-class company. Among all the nuclear countries, the United States, Russia, China, Britain, and France are all countries with triad nuclear strike capabilities, long-range intercontinental ballistic missiles, and have successfully exploded high-yield hydrogen bombs. Among them, only the United States, Russia, and China have long-range strategic bombers. The only stealth strategic bombers are the United States B-2, the B-21 under development, and China's H-20, which has successfully flown. In contrast, the explosive equivalent of the hydrogen bomb claimed by India is only equivalent to the atomic bomb exploded by the United States during World War II, and the level of other nuclear weapons explosions is not as good as that of North Korea. India's ballistic missiles not only have insufficient range, but also have poor stability. They once lost their targets after launch and fell into neighboring countries, becoming a global joke. India's nuclear weapons have not been fully tested for miniaturization and weaponization and have no deterrent capability at all. India is not like nuclear powers such as China, Russia, and the United States, which have mature mid-course anti-missile capabilities. Nor does it have its own global satellite positioning and navigation system, so the United States, Russia, and China have never taken India seriously. Among all the countries that independently develop fighter jets, the United States, Russia, China, Britain, and France have independent aircraft engines, radars, fire control systems, and air-launched missiles. Even Japan, South Korea, and Israel have the ability to make their own main core components. The Tejas fighter jet independently developed by India not only has poor performance, but has not been mass-produced after decades of development. Its core components, engines, radars, etc. are all from abroad, and the Indians just built a shell. There are countless examples like this. India's so-called domestically produced aircraft carriers, Arjun tanks, and Arihant nuclear submarines are all objects of ridicule by the world's major powers. If there is a club in the world called the Bragging Club, then India must be the champion. If there is a club called the Beggars Club, then India should be the king. Every time I hear arrogant Indians bragging about their technological level on the internet, I can't help but want to make a video to satirize them. The so-called Great Space Docking mission of ISRO this time is that the Indians launched 2 satellites into space and prepared to complete the contact in space. This has not yet been achieved, and the Indians are bragging about joining the Space Elite Club. I hope that this club will be managed by India, and China does not need to join it. I don't understand why ISRO has to use 2 satellites to demonstrate space docking technology. This is completely against scientific common sense. As early as 2011, China completed its first space docking. At that time, China's Shenzhou 8 spacecraft and Tiangong 1 space station completed space docking. This was a real docking with practical significance, not so boring with 2 satellites contacting each other in space. Before that, the United States and Russia had already completed many space dockings. Today, India's low-level space contact is not worth mentioning in the eyes of a real space power. China's space station has been in operation for many years, and astronauts are stationed in space. A few days ago, Chinese astronauts walked in space for 9 hours, breaking the record held by the United States. I don't understand why Indians ask me what I think of ISRO in the comments section of my video. What can I think? An arrogant organization that often makes false claims and brags about exploring Mars, but dares not even send astronauts into space. Indians boasted that they had mastered spacecraft technology more than a decade ago, but manned spaceflight has been repeatedly delayed. Why? Because throwing 2 pieces of space junk to Mars or the Moon, no one knows whether it will succeed or not. But if you want to send astronauts into space, real technology is needed. If there is a mistake, the whole world will watch India's space funeral live. I ask those Indian netizens who are ready to scold me to calm down and use your brains to think about it. Which is more difficult, exploring Mars tens of millions of kilometers away or sending astronauts to a low Earth orbit hundreds of kilometers away? Just like I questioned your domestic fighter jets and domestic aircraft carriers, my question is very simple. Your rifles and other light weapons need to be imported. How can you independently develop advanced fighter jets and aircraft carriers? Please use logic to refute my point of view and stop making low IQ remarks. To truly gain the respect of other countries, you must reduce our high-sounding talk. From now on, make long-term plans, work hard, develop basic sciences, cultivate pragmatic engineers, develop basic industries, and complete the predetermined goals step by step. Don't brag when you don't have the ability, because this will only be ruthlessly ridiculed by other countries in the world and will not bring any honor. If India can bring back lunar soil from the moon like China, have an independent space station, and Indian astronauts can also conduct 9-hour spacewalks, are you still worried about being slandered by my video? You get angry when you see my video. Isn't it because my video pokes your pain points and bursts your bubble of fantasy? I am a person who likes to satirize others, but I happen to be a Chinese. So when you criticize me, don't blame China. I can't represent China, just like you can't represent India. Not all Chinese have a big mouth like me, and not all Indians are as ignorant and vain as you. An Indian netizen was very excited and left a message on my channel. Didn't you say that India's space docking failed? Didn't you say that ISRO faked it? ISRO announced that the space docking was successful. Then he posted a lot of text, saying how China's space program failed and how much damage it caused. I didn't want to respond to such a brain-broken person because I have pointed out in detail in the previous video. ISRO's image and video engineers are working overtime to create fake evidence. But I didn't expect that I couldn't find the docking video of the 2 satellites through Google, YouTube, and ISRO's official release channels, and there was not even a clear picture. In addition to some incomprehensible black photos on the entire network, the relevant news quoted various CG pictures, and the most popular one was this GIF. I would like to ask Modi and ISRO fans to understand that this is a CG simulation, not a real docking process. Use your brains. If you still have any, the background of this picture is a world map, not the real Earth. Just like I criticized ISRO's achievements before, including exploring Mars and landing on the South Pole of the Moon, they have no reliable video or picture materials to prove it, only some blurry pictures, and experts from other countries questioned that they were fake and did not conform to common sense. But relying on these unreliable materials, Indians claimed that they had entered the space elite club. Although I cannot represent the Chinese Space Department, I want to say that China is unwilling to stay in such a club and withdraw to let the Indians entertain themselves. In the future, when mentioning the space elite club, it means India. In fact, it is not just me who questioned ISRO. There are also a large number of Indian netizens who kept asking for the release of videos or images before ISRO docked. Many people pointed out that if there is no live video, don't claim to have completed the mission, which shows that they are also full of doubts about ISRO. However, in the face of netizens' doubts, ISRO never responded and continued to release information and claim which steps were completed. Because they understand that Bharat and Modi's fans do not need evidence, what they need is a successful message. If the pressure is great, they will release fake pictures and videos. China completed space docking more than a decade ago, when the Tiangong-1 space station docked with the Shenzhou 8 spacecraft. Chinese television broadcast the docking process live. It should be noted that the Chinese implemented space docking after completing manned spaceflight and experimental space station operations. Because the meaning of space docking is that the spacecraft delivers personnel or materials to the space station or other spacecraft. Since it is breaking news, I will not make an in-depth analysis, but simply explain why I have a low evaluation of ISRO's satellites docking. In addition to the fact that it cannot produce evidence and uses the usual means of fraud, an important reason is that space docking has extremely high requirements for time and accuracy. Assuming that India's docking mission this time is to deliver materials or astronauts to the experimental space station, and it is delayed for several weeks before completion, will it lead to injuries or even deaths of astronauts due to lack of supplies? If 2 satellites weighing hundreds of kilograms cannot be precisely controlled, Is it even more difficult to dock a space station weighing tens of tons with a spacecraft? What is the purpose of ISRO's space docking this time? Is it to capture satellites? Then using a spacecraft plus a robotic arm like China is the most cost-effective way, which can be reused. If the purpose is to destroy the other party's satellite, use ground-based laser weapons or launch missiles to shoot it down. Both China and the United States have demonstrated their ability to destroy satellites and have been accused of using lasers to blind the other party's satellites. If it is to prepare for subsequent manned spaceflight, it is completely unnecessary. The docking between satellites does not need to consider sealing and safety. The weight of the satellite is not at the same level as that of the space station, and the reference significance is almost zero. As I mentioned before, ISRO's space docking this time is meaningless except for providing political capital for Modi in trouble. I don't understand why Modi's fans are so excited, and I don't understand why they have to show off on a channel set up by a Chinese. In the eyes of real space powers such as China, the United States, and Russia, ISRO is just a clown. Its credibility is the same as the Modi government that counts cow dung into GDP, which is zero. About 3 weeks ago, ISRO made a big fanfare on Twitter to promote its space docking plan. Major Indian media outlets quickly followed up. First Post anchor Ms. Paki Sharma excitedly announced that India is about to enter the elite space club. At that time, I was very confused. Didn't India enter the elite space club more than a decade ago? Many people left messages on my channel and asked me what I thought about this matter. I didn't want to respond at all because I knew that ISRO was a notorious fraudulent organization. No one believed its announced achievements except the people of the Bharat Empire who lived in Modi's bubble. This organization, which claimed to be the first in Asia to explore Mars, fell silent after China's Mars rover successfully landed on Mars and took a lot of data. This organization, which announced the successful mastery of spacecraft technology more than a decade ago, has not yet been able to send astronauts into space, and the plan has been delayed again and again. This organization, which announced the successful landing on the south pole of the moon, has not made any new achievements since China retrieved lunar soil from the back of the moon. Chinese experts directly pointed out that the landing site it announced was inconsistent with the orbital calculation, and the photos it announced could not have been taken at the south pole of the moon. But I couldn't stand the questioning of Indian netizens in the comment area, so I made a video. At the beginning of the video, I pointed out that India's so-called space docking plan uses 2 small-mass satellites, which is meaningless. Even if it succeeds, it will not have much practical reference value for future spacecraft and space station docking. And I am very sure that ISRO will not be smooth in all space programs that can be monitored by other countries. Because they claim to explore Mars and the Moon, even if other countries know that they are faking it, they are too lazy to collect evidence, and no one cares about India's so-called space achievements. But all space activities in low Earth orbit, including the construction of space stations, manned spaceflight, space station docking and supply, and astronaut spacewalks, can be observed by other countries and must be proved by video or live broadcast for other countries to check. As long as in these space programs that cannot be faked, I can be very sure that India's space technology will not achieve much success, and it must be a member of the Mouth Space Club in the section. In addition, I pointed out in the video, India's so-called space docking plan has not yet been realized, but it is so boasted that it feels as if it has been done. The carnival of the Indian media is shocking. What if it fails? So I started to follow ISRO's Twitter and found that at the beginning, it used the cameras carried by the 2 satellites to broadcast live or take some videos and photos. In recent days, all live broadcasts have stopped and few videos and photos have been released, and they are blurry, making it difficult to tell what was taken. Not surprisingly, my inference is that their plan failed, or at least did not achieve the expected goal. But ISRO boasted too much and it was difficult to end, so they had to go back to the fake link that worked in the past. However, fakes in low Earth orbit are easily exposed. So they began to postpone the docking and announced that the two satellites were getting closer and closer, from a few kilometers to 15 meters, and then to 3 meters, and they could see each other clearly. This made Indian netizens who followed the docking anxious. They kept posting to ask ISRO to broadcast live, but they never got a response. Some people also asked why ISRO did not release videos and images. Some people even expressed their views, praying that the gods will bless ISRO to succeed. Seeing these enthusiastic Indian patriots, I really feel sad for them. ISRO is a fraudulent organization. Anyone with a little technical knowledge can see that they are preparing for fraud by not releasing videos and photos and delaying the docking. Their PS retouching department and video rendering engineers are working overtime. When they can produce satisfactory results, they will announce the successful docking. If the fraudulent results are not up to standard, they will regretfully announce that they are only one step away from success, and then the people of Bharat will immediately make up 10,000 excuses to defend ISRO. My video was released before ISRO implemented the docking, and it is still on my channel. I can't say that I am a god of prophecy, but I am a person who thinks with my head, not my butt. This docking itself is meaningless and is purely for political propaganda. Because the Indian economy has problems, the West is shorting India, and Modi is under great pressure. ISRO's achievements can boost national sentiment. Someone told me that you can't attack ISRO like this. They have very little funding, and it is good enough to achieve so many great achievements. I think that no matter how many achievements ISRO has made, it cannot be faked. It is a scientific institution, not a Hindu temple. It can't just say some mantras to believers. Science must be rigorous and can withstand criticism. If ISRO is a religious institution, I will not criticize it no matter what it says. However, as a scientific research institution, it often lies and brags. As a keyboard man, I am ashamed of the 4 screens on my desk if I don't fix it. Some Indian netizens asked me why I am so hostile to India's space program. Are you afraid that it will threaten China? I really don't know what these people have in their heads. I am not hostile to India's space program, but to fake space programs. If China's space agency fakes, I will also criticize it. You Indians can boast that you are a member of the Superpower Club, the world's manufacturing center, the leader of 5G technology, the inventor of ancient AI, and the world's 3rd military power. I can tolerate all these. But you really deserve to be punished by God for tarnishing the noblest space cause of mankind. I still say that India cannot achieve manned space flight in 2025, and ISRO will find new excuses and reasons. As long as they dare to send astronauts into space, I guarantee that they have bought some one-way tickets. I say this not based on emotion, but on logical reasoning. Bharat people, use your highly developed brains to think about it. The docking of 2 lightweight satellites, which does not involve any safety considerations, can be postponed again and again, and it cannot be realized after delaying for half a month, let alone sending humans into space. If there is really a small problem, the astronauts' families will have to watch the live broadcast of the space funeral. Am I cursing Indian space? I am calling on ISRO, a fake organization, to be responsible for the lives of astronauts and wait until they have truly mastered mature technology before carrying out manned spaceflight. Am I wrong? Finally, please check my previous videos in the comments section below for those Indian netizens who are ready to curse me. Have your idiotic remarks been slapped in the face today? You should stop bragging, study hard, work hard, and fight back against me with a strong, clean, and prosperous Bharat, instead of showing off the power of Bharat to me with a $50 third-hand mobile phone in a shithole like slum, which will only lead to ruthless ridicule from me and netizens from other countries. Also, don't ask me to make constructive criticisms. That is the job of Indian MPs. I don't receive a dime from Indian taxpayers, and I have no obligation to do so.